It's about that time of day again here, boys and girls. Welcome back, welcome back. It is a Monday evening, July 21st, 2014. Welcome back to your nightly newsletter. My name is Joseph James. Thank you so much for stopping in and joining me here this evening. Boy, what an exciting day we had today. It didn't feel like a summertime Monday today, I'll tell you that much. It felt like any other Monday during the year that had been interrupted by some significant geopolitical news. Boy, we had news coming out of Gaza, news coming out of Ukraine, all kinds of stuff happening out there today. Very exciting newsletter. And we've got three important things we're going to talk about today in the newsletter. First of all, we're going to take a look at what happened today in the markets. Okay, lots of news. Of course, the reaction to last week's bombing, obviously that will be on our radar here this evening. Once we're done talking about what happened today, then we'll take a look at the schedule for tomorrow. We'll get ready for all the news coming out tomorrow. We will anticipate the day of the week of the month of the year, getting ready for potential market personality clues. And then the third thing we have tonight, we're going to roll up those sleeves, we're going to look at our anchor charts, and we're going to put together some strategies so that you are prepared whether the market goes higher, lower, or sideways on Monday evening or Tuesday morning. All right, guys? So at the end of this newsletter tonight, you'll know exactly what happened today. You'll know exactly what's on schedule for tomorrow, and you will be prepared with strategies for bullish, bearish, or range-bound market personality going into the middle of the week, going to Tuesday and Wednesday. All right? Sounds like a pretty good deal, right? All right. Put that helmet on. Make sure we get the mouth guard in. Let's get stretched and let's get started. I'm having some fun with you. Now, before we jump into our first chart here this morning, or should I say this afternoon, in that wishful thinking, I want to remind you guys, head on over to sidewaysmarkets.com. If you're not watching this video on our blog right now, if you're watching it over on our YouTube page, make sure you click the link below the video. There are three significant reasons why you need to get over to Sideways Markets. First of all, right below the video tonight, there is a link to download all of today's charts. I don't need to be a 190 IQ to figure out why that's important, right? Grab those charts, bring those charts with you tomorrow morning into my trade room. We're going to use them as your roadmap. If you're not in my trade room, well, I wonder why you're not in my trade room tomorrow, but if you're not in my trade room, don't forget, you can always use those in your own trading tomorrow. Second thing tonight, free pass. Upper left-hand corner, I got a free pass for you guys and gals to come out and join me in my live trade room. Take me up on that offer. You might be wondering, how do we make profit by using this newsletter every evening, right? Do I actually use these charts the following day? You better believe it. And I want to show you how I use them in our free pass to attend our live trade room. So check it out, upper left-hand corner. And then last but not least, lower left-hand corner, right below my ugly mug. All I need is your name and your email address, and I'm going to send you a personalized copy of my nightly newsletter. That's right. No more waiting around, checking the blog, no more reloading the YouTube channel. Of course, you can give me your name and your email address, lower left-hand corner here on the blog, and get an email from me every time my newsletter is posted Monday through Friday. All right, guys? So three things over here at Sideways Markets. Download the charts for today, take me up on that offer for that free pass, and register for your nightly newsletter. Ready to rock and roll? I think I am. Let's get started here, kiddos. First of all, what happened today? Well, first of all, we got crude that rolled over to the 914 contract. All this information, by the way, is below the video tonight. And for the most part, markets were reacting to the news from last week. And if you remember last Thursday, my exact words were, we were going to come back on Monday and see how this world of ours had digested this information. It was almost comical this morning listening to all of the ambassadors, all of the reports, all the news media, and of course, we listened to Obama today, right? At 10:50, 11 o'clock this morning, Obama came on the microphone in front of the White House, on the White House lawn. Beautiful day in Washington, D.C., if you guys are in the area, right? Soak up that sunshine. But President Obama looked a little bit frustrated, didn't he? If you watched that this morning, we watched it live in our trade room. And of course, Obama talked about two specific things. One was, of course, the movement of Israeli troops into Gaza. Obviously, if you listen to the report this morning, if you listen to his speech this morning, you heard him say that he understood why Israel was defending themselves, but called for a ceasefire. So he called for a ceasefire in Gaza. Right. I believe that would be, yeah, that's probably the first time anybody said a ceasefire in Gaza, right? Yeah, right. I'm 33 years old, and I can't recall, even when I was the youngest of child, right, I can't recall a time when they weren't asking for a ceasefire in Gaza. So newsflash, right, there's violence in Gaza. That really shouldn't have sparked crude, but crude, of course, reacted to this, and crude moved up to 105 today. So the violence that's escalating in Gaza, right, so of course, Gaza is, I'm not going to go into too much detail about this, but basically Israel defending themselves, going into Gaza. You can agree with me, disagree with me on that, but that's what Obama said this morning. All right? Not my words. That's what Obama said. The second thing that he spoke about was, of course, this issue with this Malaysian airliner, right, last week. And, of course, as we expected, he pretty much pointed the finger right at Russia. And ultimately, in a matter of speaking, said that they are responsible for telling these, what do they call them, the Russian separatists or the Ukrainian separatists, right, who basically report back to the Kremlin or back to Moscow. So he basically said that even though Russia may not have done this, right, if they say so, but that they needed to step in here now, right, be an adult and be responsible contributor to our world, right, to our international community, as he said. And so he pretty much put the ball back in the court of the Russians, right, saying, hey, we know they listen to you. Make sure we can get investigators on the ground. Make sure we can figure out who did this, because out of all this stuff for the past few days, the one group that we have never heard about are the people who died on that airplane. What a sad situation this is. Everyone's pointing at each other, and then that's when the cartoon characters came out, right? This was great. So Russia comes out moments afterwards and says, no, it wasn't us, it was the CIA. Wasn't that a movie once? Right? The CIA does everything, don't they? Right? I mean, if there's something bad that happens, right? It's the CIA's fault. I think so. That's what Russia says. So Russia says it's the CIA's fault. The U.S., of course, says, well, these were Russian missiles. You have a very strong influence, at the very least, right, over these separatists. But at the very most, you're telling them what to do. And then this is the best. This was the best. I loved it when we heard from China, right? Then comes in China. And China says, hey, don't pick on the Russians. They're our friends. Come on. And this was, I couldn't help but laugh when I saw that news headline come around. I just said, of course. In comes China, right? So we get the three stooges. We got the U.S., we got Russia, and we've got China, all of which are pointing fingers in one big round circle. Sounds great. No, it wasn't us. It was the Ruskies. No. It was the China. I'm waiting for somebody to blame Belize now, right? I heard it was Canada's fault, too. Incredible. But again, what disappointing this morning was that we never heard much about the victims at all. You know, nobody seems to care about the fact that there were several hundred people that lost their lives with families, and what a sad situation. What a sad situation. So today, markets, like we said last week, coming back and just digesting this. Gold traded sideways, Russell traded sideways, crude pushed higher based on those fears, right, of the Israeli attack in Gaza or the Israeli defending themselves in Gaza. You see how easy it is for the news media to spin that different ways right now. So I would be very careful passing any judgment, forming any strong opinions, because I don't think we actually know the truth yet. All right? I don't think we actually know the truth. We have a very strong assumption of what happened there, but I don't think we actually know what happened yet. And I'll leave my personal opinions aside. I just feel horrible for these families or people who lost their lives on this horrible terrorism attack. I mean, this is a horrible situation. You know, like I said last week, we do have to push through this, though. All right? We do have to push through this. As traders, we have to think, how do we capitalize on this? As much as I agree with mourning the dead and being thankful that we have our health and being responsible contributors to the global the global community, as traders though we have to move forward. And today we look at some range-bound markets. We got crude trending higher, so we're going to put together some good strategies here for us to be able to capitalize on this. All right, but around and around and around we go. The news media is fear-mongering. You can smell it a mile away. So just be careful what you see on television. Trust the markets, because the markets have the wisdom. Remember what it was? The wisdom of crowds. When the markets move higher, they're not moving higher for no reason. They're moving higher because of significant broad-based sentiment, right? That's why the markets move higher and move lower. Alrighty, so now you know what happened today. We heard from Obama, a bunch of people pointing fingers at everybody else. It seems like the blood is on the hands of the Russians right now. That would be what it seems like, but I'm looking through the lens of a U.S. citizen, right? So I don't want to make any judgment right now, but that's from the U.S. standpoint. That's what it feels like is happening here right now. But again, we'll wait and see what happens the rest of this week. And then, of course, depending on what news outlet you watch, it could be either is Israel invades Gaza, or it could be Israel defends themselves by going into Gaza, right? It's tough. As you can see, it's tough to form an opinion there as well. So what we know is what we know. We're going to trade the markets because of the price action, because of the trends, not because the news media tells us. Let's jump in. Now we got gold here. Gold is in a really tough spot. We saw this last week after it tumbled off those highs. Now you can see we're above support, we're below resistance, we're stuck right in the middle here. We're really looking range bound, we're really looking balanced here on the gold. Excuse me for the hiccups here. We go even further here. Ooh, man, get the women and children out of the room. This is ugly, boys and girls. Definitely an ugly chart. Very balanced, you can see here. I've got support levels below us. I've got resistance levels above us. This type of environment right now on gold tells me that I need to be buying lows, selling highs, avoiding that middle. And of course, the big trouble is that we're going to have one eye on the charts this week and one eye or one ear on the news media or on the news feed, right? I definitely wouldn't be listening to your news from CNBC or Bloomberg or any of the other popular television stations, but I would get your news from an unbiased source such as a TradeTheNews.com or a conglomerate source. What were some of those free websites out there? I'll have to get back to you guys on some free ones. But there are some unbiased news sites that are out there right now. They don't do advertising. They just sell straight news. TradeTheNews.com is one of them. And I would recommend you get your news from there here this week. Trust the price action. Right now, this gold is screaming at us right now. Think about this for a second. We talk about the wisdom of crowds. Does this market look scared right now? No, it doesn't. Doesn't look confident either, does it? No. So while supposedly every news outlet in the world knows exactly who did it, exactly what's going on, and exactly what's going to happen this week, apparently gold says, no, you don't. No, you don't. All right? That's what this is saying right now. The wisdom of crowds. You got to read that book, right? Talked about it last night. If you want a copy of that book, shoot me an email. I'll send you over a copy that I got. That book called Wisdom of Crowds talks about a shuttle explosion, right, back in the late 80s, early 90s, and how the market actually told us the truth, and how the news media misled us for weeks on end. Very interesting story about that in that book, Wisdom of Crowds. This is exactly what I would be thinking right now when I see gold. All right. If there was a lot of concern over global turmoil out of Gaza or out of the Middle East or out of Russia or Ukraine, you know where gold would be right now, right? You know where gold would be. Gold would be at 1345, right? Gold would be at 1350. Gold would be up at 1400. Definitely not seeing that concern, right, that you get when you turn the news television. So looking at this right now, the type of personality we're seeing is range bound. I'm going to be buying lows. I'm going to be selling highs and avoiding the middle. Here's a better look at that chart right now. All right, but I want you guys to use this 32 anchor because as the price goes lower, I'm buying these areas below. As the price goes higher, I'm looking for selling opportunities above. I'm staying the heck away from the middle, but I will use those as profit targets on gold going into the rest of the week. Hardest thing about gold right now is that we have a lot of stuff coming out, right? We got some major news tomorrow. We have a lot of, kind of up in the air, again, we talked about so far today. So if we do end up finding out what happened, or if there is and all of a sudden becomes a market consensus of what happened, you will see gold take the lead on that most likely, right? The gold and the dollar will. Here we have a balanced market. Avoid the middle. Buy that 1308. Buy that 1299. Sell that 1317, sell that 1321. Stay away from the middle, sell the highs. Stay away from the middle, buy the lows, right? Another way to describe this would be in a range-bound market, we're going to fade the breakouts. We're looking for phobos, looking for fake-out breakouts. So what I would do is if price jumps up, I'm waiting for it to collapse, and when it collapses, I'm selling it right back to that middle. When price goes lower, right, tries to go lower, it fails. When it rises back up, I'm buying it right back to that middle. This is the exact same scenario here, whether we're going at the first level or the second level. So the hardest part about it is simply waiting for it to get down there and then looking for the reversal. All right. Now, again, this may change, right? Because right now we are just seeing this story unfold. We didn't hear a lot about it over the weekend, and today we heard, again, from Obama, but it still sounds like everybody is a little bit, again, pointing fingers at everybody else. The evidence hasn't come back yet. And so if that evidence comes out later on this week, we will be reacting to it in real time in our trade room. Don't forget, if you want to get real-time updates, if you want to get real-time trade calls, if you want to see exactly what's happening in real time, just come out and join me tomorrow morning as a student in our trade room. We get a free trial of it on the website. All right. Now, looking good here on the Russell. Yeah, right. Right in the middle here on the Russell, we move from the gold to the Russell. You can see I got resistance here overhead. I've got support below. Big problem running into right now is we know what this feels like. We've seen this a few times over the past few months where we get stuck between the long-term and the short-term moving averages. It feels like playing bumper cars, right? Or being stuck on the 405 freeway here in Los Angeles between 3 and 7 o'clock at night, right? And I do mean 3 and 7 o'clock. You'll be there the whole entire time, right? So we're stuck here. We got the BMT, right? The big money below us, right? We got the short-term moving averages above us. And here we are stuck right in the middle. And this, of course, is going to look very ugly once we get here onto our anchor charts. Very easy to see here, this Russell, again. Now, when I heard Obama say diplomacy today, rather than that W word, war, right? When he said he wanted to go after this with diplomacy, I was pretty much expecting that, right? Nobody killed anybody on U.S. soil, so I figured that wasn't enough to call war today. I wasn't expecting that. But when he said diplomacy, I really did think we were going to see a jump there in the equities, because you kind of felt how those equities were kind of kept down. It felt like a defensive type of day today, right? It almost felt like a boxer going into the match with no intention today on taking out the opponent, but just to survive. That's what it felt like with the Russell today. It felt like the Russell and all the other E-minis, they were just trying to survive today, right? They got beat up last week. They were trying to survive today, and that's what you kind of see here happened, right? It tried to push lower, but got hung up on this 35.2, right? What is support becomes resistance. What is resistance becomes support. So we know 35.2 is definitely a holding place. We are definitely still right around the corner here from a big drop. You can feel it on this Russell and all the E-minis right now. You can feel it here. All I need is a lower low here, and I am off to the races here to the downside. So you can see here we got lower lows on the way down. We got lower highs. We're definitely bearish here in the long run. But short term, though, we're trading sideways right now. So really, again, much like gold, we have a range-bound market. And again, the wisdom of the crowds, right, that trade the Russell, the small caps, the wisdom of crowds tells us that right now, nobody really knows what happened yet. Nobody really has the confidence yet to say, this is where we're going here for the rest of the week. So right now, I'm definitely waiting for a lower low in price, right? That'll get me selling short. Got targets down bottom here, right? Targets 22.7. Targets at the low of that channel. And targets, of course, here 1102, and don't forget about that big red number of 1100 even. So we know we're bearish here right now, but we're stuck, right? We're stuck in the middle. Now, if price goes higher, we still have reason to believe we can sell short again. I've got symmetry up here at 53. I can sell short. In fact, I can sell short once again here at 1160. So we have plenty of areas here where we're going to be looking for a short selling opportunity here on the Russell. I think, though, if you want a much more forensic look at what this is doing right now, right, you can see here on this anchor chart. Very sideways, very consolidated. This market does not look like it knows where it wants to go right now. Every time it gets below all the key levels, it goes back above. Gets back above, goes back below. So much like gold, we will be keeping a very keen eye and ear out here this week, waiting for this personality to finally grow some legs, right, and start to move either higher or lower. But in the medium term, right, in the midterm, we're going to be waiting here for price to get down to those lows, and we're going to buy those lows. Up towards those highs, right, sell those highs. Now remember, we do have a long-term trend that is down right now. So if I had to guess what direction would be the better direction, I would say the downside at this time. All right? But again, that can change. And if you want to get real-time updates tomorrow morning, come out and see me in the trade room. Right? We open up at 8 o'clock Eastern time. I'll be happy to walk you through everything I'm seeing in the Russell and any other market at that time in real time. So we know that right now, as we stand right now for technical clues and market personality, we can see we have the bear side will be the higher percentage side. So selling will undoubtedly be the higher percentage side until something changes, of course. And we have some areas here overhead, right, where we want to be selling. Again, I think the big thing here is once we get above this 1153. Remember, 1153 was that symmetry area on my 32 anchor. So remember, keep this 32 anchor chart in the back of your mind. Once I get above 1153, which is that symmetry, also the top of that channel, by the way, then I can start looking to be a buyer. So 1153 is really my line in the sand here between the buyers and the sellers, and 1153 is all the way up top here. So that means that if price goes higher, I'm going to sell it here once. If it blows right through it, one more try here, I'll sell it again. If it blows right through that, then all of a sudden we get to buying. I have a buying target at 1160.8. Okay, relatively easy. And then of course, oh, sorry for the snowstorm there. You awake on that one now? If we go lower, again, I got to buy at the low here. And then once I get below this 33.8, that's when I know I've got the green light. I can now get to selling short. I get targets below here. 29.5, 26.9, and 23.8. Right now in the Russell, though, stay the heck away from the middle. Buy those lows, sell those highs, avoid that middle, and come join me tomorrow morning in the trade room. That way I can tell you more about what I'm seeing in real time. Right? That's going to be the most important thing, if you want my opinion, tomorrow morning, is just seeing how this thing continues to evolve. All right? If you're just shooting blind out there right now, this is going to be a very, very difficult week for you because we got a lot of geopolitical news affecting us every second of the day right now. And as of right now, anything can happen. Moving on now here to the only market that really grew some legs today, and it didn't really start until this afternoon. It wasn't until we finally got a grip on how bad the scenario was in Gaza, and again, depending on what news media you listen to right now, it's either Israeli defends themselves or the Israelis are attacking in Gaza. I'll leave your opinion of that, I'll leave my opinion of that to myself here. So what we have here now is, we could easily see, boy, we almost had them, guys. We almost had this baby below 100 there, just in time for that 72-hour news cycle to kick back in again. I swear, every 72 to 96 hours, there's a new crisis being drummed up right now, right? You get the Pied Piper, CNBC, Bloomberg, right? I'll leave my opinion out of it, but I can easily see, though, how we were an inch away from getting below that long-term moving average and getting back to falling prices again, but not so fast. Here we are now. We jump off those channel lows. You can see a nice big full-bodied candlestick here on crude. That's a nice big full-bodied candlestick. You can see we didn't quite close at those highs, right? But we did get all the way up to that 105, just kissed that 105, and then a little bit of profit taking, we closed right back off. So nice big full-bodied candle here. That gives me a bullish tone to the market. I've got resistance here overhead, 105.11, 105.64, and 106.49 among other targets here as you go higher. I don't think we're going to need those for tomorrow, but we definitely may. So be aware of those areas overhead as resistance right now. Very easy to see, though, we are bullish here on crude, which means I've got a very difficult job right now, and that is staying patient to buy a pullback. Now, you've heard me talk about this stuff over and over and over again over the past few months as the crisis, right, evolved in Ukraine, as the crisis came out of China, as the crisis keeps developing everywhere around the world right now, right? There's always a crisis happening. And every time that crisis involves the Middle East, and it just seems to be always there, doesn't it? That's interesting. A little consistency there. So the trend, of course, just happens to be impacting in the Middle East. So whenever the news media perks up, crude perks up, and you can see this new higher high here today. We're not going to buy these highs, right? We're not going to buy these highs. I know. The lady on television says that you've got to be buying. The lady on television says she's bullish crude. But remember, the lady on television is not a trader. Okay, she's a microphone in her ear, her producer's telling her what to say, and the advertisers are telling her, or her producer what to tell her to say. All right, so remember, don't believe the news media. I do want to be a buyer in this bullish trend, but I'm going to wait for price here now to pull back before I buy, right? I want to buy, but I want to buy at a discount. The first place I'm going to look for here, major support, 103.94. Then I got 103.79, 103.50, which is also symmetry. I've got 103.10, 102.85, and all the way down to 102.24. Get below 101.89, and now I look for the opportunity here to sell. All right, very, very easy there. So on crude right now, as we pull back, we're waiting to buy at a discount, and I can see the best spot to do it right about here, that 103.94, maybe the 104 area. I'm going to wait for that tomorrow morning. Now, moving forward, if you can't wait till tomorrow, here are some more aggressive areas for you to be buying if you are a scalper or an intraday trader here overnight. I've got 104.35, 104.19, 103.98, 103.85, 103.94. I got 103.79, 103.50. Excuse me, those hiccups again. 103.10 and 102.85. All right, so we got the buy zones listed for you below. Again, if I had to guess right now, I would say 104 area, that 103.94 lined up with the bottom of this channel. Those would be your best options here for the buy. Keep in mind too, these two that are in yellow, these are lower percentages, are very minor buy zones there. The ones that are in yellow are minor buy zones. Be aware of that, folks. All right. And then, of course, once again here, if we can get this thing to get below, say, 102.58, then we're off the race to the downside. I just don't see crude going lower here today or tomorrow. I see it pulling back and then making a move higher, or I see it consolidating and going sideways like Gold and Russell was doing today. But with all this lingering effects of this bombing, with all the question marks in the air of what happens in Gaza, it's such a difficult thing to really conceive the notion of crude going lower, but we must be ready for it. So you will get a chance here most likely between this 103.50 and that 103.10, right? So you might be able to get a little short there between those two areas, but for the most part, though, I'm looking short here below 102.58 area there, 102.58, which is the low from, what's that, the 18th, right? So last Friday, right? So last Friday's low. So we have a very easy job here on crude. The tough part on crude right now is going to be staying patient, if you want my opinion, right? Staying patient for that pullback, and we'll see how this day goes for us tomorrow. Again, all eyes and ears will continue here tomorrow on the news out of Gaza, on the news out of Russia and Ukraine. I'm sure we'll keep hearing more people point fingers back and forth, but let's see what we already have on the schedule for tomorrow, which is Tuesday, July 22nd. Now, first of all, we have no major news scheduled for us overnight tonight. Nothing in China, nothing in Asia or in Australia. So nothing to worry about tonight on the news. We do have some minor reports here tomorrow morning, 2 a.m. out of the Swissy, your merchandise trade. What I think will be the biggest news of the European session is the Industrial Trends Survey, right? A business survey out of Great Britain. We skip down to 8:30 and we get our first Red Star news of the day tomorrow morning, Consumer Price Index. Very, very important here. We remember when we see Red Star news, we have the most amount of volatility, the most amount of volume is expected during days with Red Star news. So be ready for some possible fireworks tomorrow here in the U.S. So as we take a closer look at this tomorrow morning in the U.S., I've got 8:30 news, consumer prices. I've got a little sleeper called the Red Book 855. I got the housing price index at 9. These are minor reports. Then we got the existing home sales at 10 o'clock. And, of course, we get a major news report from the CPI from our good friends down under tomorrow night at 9:30 p.m., which we'll talk about on tomorrow's newsletter. All right, so 8:30 and 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. That is just what the doctor ordered for markets like gold and the Russell. And, again, in addition to all of the predefined scheduled news we have tomorrow, 8:30 and 10 o'clock, we know that tomorrow will be littered with news reports and headline, crisis, right, information updates and things like that. Just be careful who you listen to right now and don't make any decisions until you check your chart, all right? Find the trend, find the setup, find the entry pattern. That's what I teach all of my students here at School of Trade. Find the trend, find the setup, find the entry pattern. Notice that doesn't involve turning on the television or listening to Bloomberg. All right, we want to know when the news is scheduled to be released. I don't care what these news outlets want me to say, right? I'm going to trade my patterns. I'm going to find my trend, find my setup, and find my entry trigger. We've had a great week so far. It's only Monday. We made some great money today in the room today. Hope you guys were out there with me today in the room. Don't forget, before I let you guys go, head over to SchoolOfTrade.com. Check out the free trial. You know, guys, we've been doing this over 10 years here now at School of Trade, and we are so excited to welcome you into our community of traders. We offer 3 levels of membership, a free trial on top of it, and during that free trial, I have a special invitation for you to come out and join us in our live trade room so you can see what all the excitement's about. My name is Joseph James. I want to thank you so much for being a part of our newsletter tonight. I hope you guys had a great summertime weekend. And I'll tell you, this news that continues here, it just reminds me more and more that as much as I love trading crude oil, the most valuable commodity we have is time. So if this violence erupting around the world right now, if it does anything for you, I hope it gives you reason to pause and tell the people around you how much you care about them. So be well, be happy, work hard out there. And we'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning when our live stream opens up, or tomorrow evening on our nightly newsletter for Tuesday evening. Signing off now from a beautiful sunny afternoon here in Los Angeles, California, from our corporate headquarters here in LA. My name is Joseph James. Don't forget to join our trial, share this with a friend, and we'll see you guys on the mañana. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.